Burning light filled the royal study, casting long lines across the polished floor. Crown Prince Kael sat at his desk, completely still. His eyes were fixed on a small piece of dark blue fabric placed neatly at the center of a white sheet, as if everything in the room existed only for that one object. A soft breeze moved through the tall windows, but Kael did not look away. He lifted the fabric and held it toward the light, slowly turning it between his fingers. He felt how firm yet flexible it was. A thin metallic thread inside the cloth caught the sunlight, giving off brief, controlled flashes. His face remained calm, but his mind moved quickly, studying every detail like a commander reviewing a report. Not ordinary cloth. Not from the palace. Not made by merchants. He pressed it lightly and watched it return to its shape. This was made on purpose. Made for movement. Made for silence. His eyes narrowed slightly. No servant would wear this. No thief would spend so much on this. This requires skill, money, and training. He gently placed the fabric back on the desk and leaned back, letting the memory of last night return, the quiet presence above, the perfect silence, the precise escape. He spoke softly.
Someone skilled entered the palace last night.
He paused, then spoke with more certainty.
This was planned. Not by chance.
He stood up in one smooth motion and turned toward the door.
Call the captain of the guard.
Within minutes, the palace atmosphere changed. Kael stood in the center of the study, while guards gathered outside, forming a silent wall of tension. The captain of the guard stepped forward and bowed.
Your Highness, what has happened?
Kael wasted no time. He placed the fabric on the map table and pointed to several parts of the palace.
Someone has been moving inside the palace for some time. They are using high paths and hidden routes.
The captain's eyes sharpened.
A spy?
Kael shook his head slightly.
Not just a spy. Someone trained. Someone who knows this palace well and moves at the right moments.
He traced a path across the map.
Search the rafters. Search tight spaces. Check air paths and service tunnels. Leave no path unchecked.
The captain nodded.
Understood, Your Highness.
Kael continued calmly.
Place magic detectors at every main entrance. Watch for any strange energy.
His gaze hardened.
Increase patrols. No corridor should be left empty.
We will begin at once.
As the captain left, orders spread quickly through the palace. Silence turned into movement. Knights filled the halls in organized patterns. Patrols overlapped. The calm palace became a place of watchful control. Kael stood by the window, watching it all, his reflection blending with the map behind him. If someone can enter unseen, they understand this palace better than most who live here. His thoughts settled. Then I will change this palace until there is nowhere left to hide. In the servant wing, Rosalie felt the change before she saw it. She walked through a corridor carrying a tray of polished cups when the air suddenly felt tight, like an unseen pressure moving through the palace. Her steps slowed for just a moment. Her eyes lifted slightly. He has already begun. Her grip on the tray adjusted, and she continued walking with calm posture. Her face remained that of a tired maid, but her mind was already working. New routes, new timings, new patrol patterns. Everything has changed. Every shadow is being watched. She lowered her gaze and kept moving as other servants passed by, unaware of the tension beneath her calm expression. Kael returned to the map wall in his study. Red marks covered important locations, and the fabric piece remained pinned at the center. He studied everything carefully, connecting movement with weak points in the palace. Entry points repeat. Movements match guard gaps. The intruder avoids light. His eyes narrowed slightly. This is not random. This is planned movement based on knowledge. He spoke quietly.
You are still inside this palace.
Silence followed.
And now I understand how you move.
He tapped the table once with 2 fingers, slow and firm, as if confirming his decision. Outside, the palace continued to change. Every corridor had guards. Every path was watched. Every hidden space was now part of his control. Kael's voice lowered with quiet certainty.
I will find you.
The imperial palace felt tense and alert, like it never rested. After the sudden lockdown of the North Tower, the calm and peaceful feeling of the palace disappeared completely. The wide white marble halls, once quiet and graceful, were now filled with guards. Heavy boots echoed again and again across the polished floors. Groups of elite knights stood at every crossing, their hands resting on their swords, always ready. Bright crystal chandeliers lit every corner, leaving no place for shadows to hide. Because of this, Rosalie's night became a fight just to stay unseen. Some time later that night, she stayed hidden on a narrow ledge high above. From there, she looked down and watched 5 elite guards slowly moving below her. Their eyes were sharp and focused as they checked the ceiling again and again. Her usual path through the rafters was no longer safe. Kael's security system worked perfectly. It forced her out of her hidden routes and trapped her inside the palace itself. To reach the seal deep under the palace, she had to take a much harder path. After moving quietly through a narrow passage, she stopped in front of an old service shaft, long forgotten and covered in dust. It was a narrow vertical space made of dark brick, built many years ago when the palace was first made. It looked too tight for a person to pass through easily. Rosalie pulled her dark blue cloak close around her body. She slowly let out all the air in her lungs, then carefully pushed herself into the dark, soot-covered shaft. The pressure on her body hit her at once. Her muscles were already weak and shaking from many nights without sleep. Now they burned as she pressed her elbows and knees against the rough brick to control her slow descent. Every small movement took careful effort. The rough stones scraped against her through her clothes, leaving deep bruises along her ribs. Inside the shaft, the air felt thick and still, filled with old dust and ash. Her chest tightened as her lungs searched for air, but she kept her breathing quiet and steady. Even a small sound could travel down and alert the guards below. "I must keep moving," she thought as her fingers pressed into the small gaps between the bricks to hold herself steady. "The seal is breaking. If I fall here, the parasites will reach the servant wing before morning." Her body felt empty, with very little energy left to support her spirit blade. The night before, a group of small parasites tried to break into the lower barracks. She fought them alone in complete darkness, striking 5 times with perfect aim while trapped inside a tight underground tunnel. The soldiers above her slept safely, never knowing how close danger had come. She protected them, and in return, she carried even more exhaustion. By the time the soft morning light entered through the tall palace windows, the midnight hunter had already disappeared. A few hours later, at noon, the sun shone brightly over the royal rose garden. The flowers looked almost too bright under the strong light. Rosalie now stood quietly on the clean stone path. She wore her simple pink uniform, with her white apron tied neatly. In her hands, she held a silk parasol, keeping it steady to protect Princess Clara from the sun. The warmth of the afternoon slowly pulled at her senses. The soft sound of Clara turning pages faded into a distant hum. Rosalie's eyes grew heavy. Her vision blurred, and her body swayed slightly as she tried to stay upright. Sleep pulled at her even as she stood. Her grip on the parasol weakened, and it tilted slightly, letting sunlight fall on Clara's shoulder. Clara noticed at once. She looked up from her book and saw Rosalie's pale face and tired eyes. Her expression softened with worry. "Rosalie," Clara said gently as she reached out and touched her wrist. The touch brought Rosalie back. She blinked quickly, straightened herself, and fixed the parasol. "I apologize, Your Highness. My hands slipped. The sunlight is quite strong today." "Sit down," Clara said firmly. She gently took the parasol from Rosalie's hands and pointed toward the shaded bench inside the gazebo. "You need to sit, Rosalie. You are pushing yourself too hard. Rest before you fall." "I am fine, Your Highness. I can continue my duties." "Sit," Clara repeated calmly. "This is a direct order." Rosalie slowly sat on the cool bench. Her body felt heavy, and the relief from the pressure on her ribs spread through her chest. She lowered her head and placed her hands neatly in her apron, forcing herself to stay awake. Then, the quiet afternoon broke as footsteps sounded on the gravel path. Crown Prince Kael walked toward the gazebo with 2 senior knights behind him. His dark uniform was perfect, and his posture remained straight and controlled. His sharp eyes quickly noticed the scene, a maid sitting beside the princess. His expression hardened. A cold look appeared on his face as he stepped closer, his gaze fixed on Rosalie. To him, this looked like poor behavior and failure in duty.
Clara,
Kael said in a low, firm voice,
you give your staff too much freedom. A maid who cannot even stand through a simple afternoon reading should not serve the royal family. This shows a lack of discipline.
Rosalie kept her eyes lowered, her posture small and quiet, acting like a weak and careless maid. Inside, a tired and bitter thought settled in her mind. He looks down on me for being weak, she thought as she stared at the ground near his boots. He does not know his guards are alive because I fought for them last night. I will let him think I am useless. As long as he looks in the wrong place, he will never see the truth. Kael, that is enough, Clara said, frowning slightly. She is clearly unwell. Kael gave Rosalie one last long look, noticing the slight shake in her hands. Then he turned away and walked back toward the palace to check the guard positions. Rosalie remained seated behind him, her body still heavy, quietly fighting the strong pull of sleep as she prepared herself for another long night.